Hi everyone, and welcome to our video on finding a fourth order derivative. All right, so to find the fourth order derivative, we first need the first derivative, then the second, then the third, and then we'll get it. All right, so let's rewrite this. Okay, so our first step, just like always, if it's not in the best form for us, we should rewrite it. So if I have x cubed in the denominator, I should move it up and make it x to the negative 3. And then the square root of x we know is the same thing as x to the half power. So we have x to the negative 3 plus 5x to the 1/2. Now we'll go through our business and say, well, let's get our first derivative. So that's f prime of x. We can do our power rule. It's negative 3x. And then careful, negative 3 minus 1 is negative 4. And then let's do our power rule again. So the 1/2 would times 5 to give us 5/2. And then minus 1 from the power. Again, we could do scratch work as needed, but minusing 1 from 1/2 would be negative 1/2. Okay, so I'm just doing it in words and simplifying a little quicker. Okay, so there's our first derivative. Now I'm going to go to green for our second derivative. Second derivative. Again, this is ready for us. So it's power rule again for each term. The negative 4 would multiply the negative 3 to be positive 12. And then x minus 1 from the power would be negative 5. And then the negative 1/2 would multiply the positive 5/2. That would change it to minus. 5 times 1 is 5. 2 times 2 is 4. So 5/4. And then x is still attached. Still minus 1 from the power. If we do minus 1, it would be negative 3/2. Okay, so we can still, again, do scratch work as needed. But to save a little time with arithmetic, that's how it would go. And if you're really good with fractions, I mean, that's fine too. You don't need the scratch work. Okay, next one. I'm going to do that one in purple just to change my colors. Okay, so now I've got my third order derivative. Still, this one's nice where it's still just the power rule. So the negative 5 multiplies the 12. So that would be negative 60. X, and then still minus 1 from the power would be negative 6. The negative 3/2 would multiply the negative 5/4, so two negatives multiplied is positive. 3 would times 5 to get 15. 4 would times 2 to get 8. And then x is still attached. Still minus 1 from that power. Negative 3/2 minus 1 would be negative 5/2. All right, we're almost there. Last step. Let's see it. Okay, so let's do one other color. I'm going to do it in red. All right, so our fourth order derivative, they use parentheses at this point because we don't want to lose track of how many primes there are, because it would get messy if we just did a whole lot of primes for higher order derivatives. So we just do the parentheses with the number of derivative. And then now, again, we're doing our power rule. Okay, so this negative 6 multiplies the front. Negative and negative would be positive 360. And then x, and still minus 1 from the power would be negative 7. And then the negative 5/2 multiplies the front. Positive and a negative makes it negative. 15 times 5 is 75. 8 times 2 is 16. And then x, and then minus 1 from that power would be negative 7/2. There we go. So we got it. We found what they wanted, this fourth order derivative. Okay, and if they wanted us to keep going, I mean, we just keep doing that power rule over and over and over again. If they said to change the notation, I mean, we could. So if they don't like the negative power, then we can change it. So the negative power we can move down and make a positive power. And then minus 75 over, let's do 2 steps in one here. The negative power would have moved it down. And then the power would have been 7, and then 2 is the square root, so like that. Okay, so this is the other notation, just in case they wanted it back to similar to the setup. Okay, and also notice that, so like our signs were changing each time because the negative multiplier. So, well, and once we got the negative multiplier, so that's something to be careful about. Okay, but other than that, that's it. So if you do have questions, please let me know. And thanks for watching.